Right, shalom, shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to the brothers laboring worldwide in truth and sincerity. Salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect, believing on the words of Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi. To you, I say shalom. It's coming at you with another quick lesson, Lord willing, is edifying. Going to be basically a news and prophecy. A lot going on right now from Trump getting his big beautiful bill passed. It's going to cause a lot of strain on the so-called middle class, which is dwindling right now. You know, it's tax cuts for the rich. You know, and it's just showing you more and more that this is a cruel Lord that the Lord has set over you Egyptians. Right? You got workers in Philadelphia, up to 9,000, I believe, who are on strike. So you know their sanitation in the city is building up, and you know it happened right around a so-called holiday, 4th of July. You know, it's 2 days ago. So you got trash being piled up till its height, man. You know, and that's prophecy. They're on a strike. You know, they're protesting. You know, which is what uproars of the people in the world. You know. Oh, you also had up to 43 now. The count is 43 people dead from that Texas flood. Did a lesson on that the other day. It should be up before this lesson goes up. You know. Oh, also I seen a story today where it was like so many mass shootings on 4th of July weekend. You know, well these things like that is the norm here in America, Babylon the Great. Why? Because of who's in power. Matter of fact, let's get something real quick. Yeah, because of who's in power, that's why you see these things happening, man. You know, this is the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10 and verse 2. As the judge as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. You see that? So we know Esau is a violent homo, man. You know, he doesn't know how to reason uh, justly or rightfully. You know, his reasoning is with the sword. That's how he gets things accomplished, and that's shown forth through his legislation. If he doesn't get a result that he likes, he put tariffs on people. And if the tariffs don't work, he bombs them. You know, i.e., Iran, the things that are going on right now. You know, which is all being made manifest through the spirit of power, Yahawashi. But these mass shootings are the norm. Why? Because of who's in power, the sword, man. You know, all of a sudden you want to have a little buzz come up, Lord willing, we can make it through the lesson. But also what's going on in the world. You know, you got wildfires in California. You know, we got people really on edge, man. You know, they don't have any comfort here. They're truly hopeless. You know, and scriptures tell us about those days. Matter of fact, we'll get into some a couple articles. Like I said, got a couple videos that I would like to share also. Was Lord willing, I have it in post production. Where did I want to go? Let's go to Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 12. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth. Right. Scriptures say, remember our creator in the days of thy youth. That means once you're born again, you know, you become a new babe and you desire the sincere milk of the Lord, you know, of the word, excuse me. So it says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years drought now, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. And see, those days are here. You know, these people don't have any pleasure in the days that are right before us, man. You know, in fact, they're just looking to survive. You know, they're just really looking to get by. I'm gonna have to do something about this damn bug. You know, but that's what you're seeing transpiring on the planet Earth. People are such in a lower state. You know, they're trying to hold on by a thread, and Esau basically is cutting that thread. Everything that they're holding on to, he's taking away. You know, from the SNAP benefits to the Section 8 to the Medicaid. You know, he's really squeezing them into a box to where eventually you don't have to take that MOTB. You know, which is that RFID micro C. He's trying to create the chaos, you know, so he can bring the solution. And his solution is ultimately going to have you people take the chip, right? Now, in this first video, like I said, Lord willing, I have it in post production. Let's see. It says over 9,000 public workers on strike in Philadelphia, right?
Philadelphia now, where with the workers' strike ongoing, garbage piling up as huge crowds pack the city for Independence Day, and headliners, including LL Cool J, pulling out of big performances in solidarity. ABC's Olivia Rubin joins us now with more. Good morning, Olivia.
Janae, good morning. This is day 5 of this strike that you're talking about, and this is the largest blue-collar workers union in the city, and the effects there are intensifying. Over 9,000 of Philadelphia's critical workers, think sanitation workers, 911 dispatchers, and members of the water department, walked off the job Tuesday at 12:01, demanding better pay and working conditions. 4th of July celebrations did move forward there, but the largest Independence Day parade in the nation losing some of its headlining performers. LL Cool J, as you said, standing with those workers, backing out of his performance. He said on social media, quote, "There's absolutely no way that I could perform across a picket line and pick up money when I know that people out there are fighting for a living wage." R&B singer and Philly native Jasmine Sullivan soon following suit there. The union, known as DC 33, praising those cancellations as, quote, "amazing news" as they try to force this deal here. Another big problem, though, is the trash. Garbage is piling up on the streets as negotiations hit a standstill. There's been no word on when those negotiations might resume since they ended on Wednesday without a deal. The union most recently proposing a 5% wage increase per year for the next 3 years, according to our Philadelphia station WPVI. The city countering, proposing essentially 2% per year. The city's mayor, Sherelle Parker, previously said she, quote, "did right by the blue-collar men and women of the District Council 33 with her offer." Speaking on the 4th of July, she said while the strike is, quote, "not preferred, it is a right." Gio.
Hopefully they get those negotiations going again very, very soon. Olivia Rubin, thank you so much.
9,000. So now your trash is not being picked up. You know, certain services like street sweeping and those things are not occurring in the city of Philadelphia, which is a huge city, man. You know, that's a huge city that those things are not occurring. You can put it in the equivalent of this small city, Birmingham. You know, the inner city not having any trash pickup, man, and that trash is gonna pile up to the point where it's gonna become unbearable on the streets. You know. Those are more things, more signs our Lord said to look for real quick. Let's go to the book of Luke. St. Luke, chapter 21, and verse 25. It says, "And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon earth the stress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." The sea and the waves being a metaphor for the people being in an uproar. See? So yeah, we're seeing signs in the sun. Oh, you just had what was that? I think they said a heavenly body enter into the solar system, it was going so fast that they really couldn't calculate it. You know, you also had meteors landing in certain places in Georgia and Philadelphia, right? So those are all signs the Lord said to look for before his second coming, man. You know, besides the chariots, oh, you had the Sprite lightning appear over Mexico before this huge rainfall that happened in between Mexico and Texas. Man, they said that water rose 30 feet in 45 minutes. You can't tell me that wasn't Yahawashi, man. You know, while you people harder than bullshit, the Lord is moving on you people. You know, but again, we seeing these certain signs, and it says upon earth the stress of nations. So you got no Kings protest still going on. I believe it was several that happened during this 4th of July weekend. You know, yeah, man, everything is right there to brink. It says men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. See that? Yeah, these people are really in like I said earlier, a state of mourning, a state of fear. You know, they don't. They're not having a good time. You know, hey, fireworks were so expensive that most of these people didn't pop no fireworks, man. You know, and that's a heavy thing where you see the plagues that the Lord has presented to the people, man. You know, it said the Lord said He's gonna beat down our foes before our face and plague them which hate Him, man. And that's what you're seeing. The Lord is plaguing this place. Now we also know that word plague goes into a pestilence, you know, a bacterial disease, as it were. But also in the verb form, it means to cause a continual trouble or distress to. So that's what we're seeing. The Lord is causing a continual trouble and distress to this place, America, Babylon the Great. And it's happening on all different facets of life. So much so when the real calamities build up on these people and it's at their front door, then they're gonna really bug out. They're gonna really want to know the words of Yahawashi, as it were, man. You know, it says, "Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and great glory." Right when that huge Father shall pop up with our Lord Yahawashi, these people really gonna lose their shit. You know, they've been groomed to believe as aliens, little green men. Little they know it's gonna be a huge black man with a huge afro coming to take down the nations, man. That's why the scripture say, all nations shall mourn. Something to that aspect, you know. Well, why are the nations going to mourn? Because he's going to be taking them out of the power. You know, he's going to end wickedness in the planet Earth. Again, who pushed forth wickedness? Esau hit the so-called white man. So this place has to be taken out in a violent fashion. See? Now I have this other information just regarding the shootings. Like I said, Lord willing, I put these videos up post-process, right? It says gun violence erupts across the U.S. on the 4th of July.
Deadly gun violence tonight interrupting holiday weekend celebrations. 2 boys, just 15 and 16 years old, were killed in a downtown Indianapolis shooting early this morning. 5 others were injured.
We should all be shaken by what occurred.
Police say shots rang out as hundreds of teens were out past midnight without parental supervision.
We are not your children's keepers. You are. And parents and guardians have got to step up.
In San Francisco overnight, 5 people were shot, one of them killed. while police say at least 8 were struck at a Philadelphia bar.
Again, that's a mainstay, man. These wicked ass holidays, you can bet the over 20 people being unalive, man. You know, or bet the over 50 people being wounded. You know. Now you got this other video, Indianapolis shooting, 7 shot, 2 killed in downtown gunfire. A New York shooting on the 4th. It says, well, not shooting, but stabbing. It says
a neighborhood block party celebrating July 4th ends with a man dead, and now detectives in Queens are searching for the person who stabbed 3 people, killing one of them. Derek Waller has the latest from Jamaica.
Fireworks and police lights lit up the sky over South Queens Friday night. The NYPD now investigating how one Independence Day gathering ended with a deadly stabbing.
You know, it's one of those holidays where people like to have fun. You know, some like to have more fun than the others.
Police say 3 men in their 20s were attacked just before 2 a.m. here in this neighborhood on 112th Avenue near Sutphin Boulevard. One of them slashed across his abs, another stabbed in his ribs. They're both listed in stable condition, but a 25-year-old man stabbed in the chest, now identified as Jonathan McFarland of Jamaica, died at the hospital. And here on 112th Avenue the day after, there are just remnants of exploded fireworks all over the street. And then come back here closer to where the deadly stabbing actually took place near Sutphin Boulevard, and there are boxes of empty fireworks on the street, and police actually stationed on this block all day. Detectives with the Queens South Homicide Squad questioned drivers and went door to door Saturday looking for surveillance video, while Mohammed Reza cleaned up. You were saying it's scary.
It's scary, yeah, it's scary. It's midnight. I don't know what's going on there, but until 11:30 I was here. It was okay.
Reza and his daughter Zaina were asleep long before the celebration exploded into violence.
It was pretty busy. There was a bunch of parties and everything.
And your first instinct is to go inside?
Yeah, because they were all drunk and smoking, and we don't participate in that.
So far, no arrests as investigators continue to look for clues.
July 4th block party in Queens ends with deadly stabbing. See that? You got an 8-year-old girl killed after being struck by illegal fireworks in Buena Park, in California.
We're following developing news in Buena Park, where an 8-year-old girl tragically died after a batch of illegal fireworks exploded near her.
Yeah, KTLA5 Sarah Welch joining us live in Buena Park, where the neighborhood is just still in shock over this girl's death. Sarah?
Rick and Corinne, good evening. Yeah, they say sad on so many levels. That little girl has died. A homeowner is under arrest tonight. And this chaotic scene, this awful scene, they said, unfolding here last night at Cornflower Circle here in Buena Park. This is video that was taken shortly after that 8-year-old girl was struck by an out-of-control firework. You can see the box burned to the ground in the street. A neighbor told us as those fireworks were lit, the box fell over and the rockets started shooting all over the street and hit that little girl. One man told us that he almost got hit himself. He was nearby at a different celebration. And another homeowner off camera told us that she had to hose down her yard because she was worried that her yard might catch on fire. Now, this deadly accident happened just before 10 last night. Buena Park police officers were patrolling nearby after seeing a large quantity of fireworks go off in this neighborhood. And that's when an officer saw family members frantically carrying the child into a house. Officers stopped, began life-saving efforts, and then rushed the little girl to the hospital where she sadly died. We spoke with another woman off camera who told us this area has been known for its 4th of July celebrations for years.
It's such a tragedy. I can't believe somebody was hurt and killed last night. We saw the police cars when we were leaving because this is such a beautiful track, and it has been. My husband's family's owned the house since 1963, and we were just walking up and down all the streets yesterday looking at all the celebrations and the barbecues that were out in the middle of the street. And there's over 100 people that ride bicycles that are all decorated red, white, and blue, and the police were actually behind them, letting them go through all the streets. And it's just sad that something so terrible had to happen on such a wonderful day.
You know? Yeah, man. You see things are ramping up, and it's violently ramping up. The Lord says He's going to pour out wrath. And what we're seeing, the Lord's pouring out His wrath, man. You know, He's making His power known to you people. what you believe is what do they say, Mother Nature, you know, straight foolishness. But in actuality, it's Yahawashi bringing judgment. Okay? Now, real quick. Okay, here we go. Alright. Let me do this. You got a recall on cucumbers. Damn. Listen to this. It says, man 70 dies after fireworks explode in his face at beach on 4th of July. You see that? Man, the Lord is really setting out judgment. Oh, Japan braces for more quakes. Yeah. Japan had over 1,000 earthquakes, you know? And they're in the mindset of it. It could be leading up to something, some type of catastrophe, you know? But it's ultimately leading up to the return of our Lord Yahawashi. All right? Let's see. We can get something real quick on them earthquakes. All right? All right, here we go. Yep. Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 9. See, ain't none of these things that we're witnessing are coincidence or not in the realm of Yahweh shall judge in this place. No. In fact, all of these things were set up by the Lord. You know? 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Yeah. And what are some of the ways the Lord is visiting this place? Matter of fact, let's continue. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world. So through uproars of the people in the world and earthquakes, it shows that Yahweh is visiting this place. You know? And guess what, man? The hailstorms that we see, the tempests, the tornadoes, the flood. The flood that we just witnessed, again, rose 30 feet in 45 minutes. Those are telltale signs that the Lord is visiting the world which he made. Okay? It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So yeah, these things were spoken, you know, from the beginning. All right? What is that? Isaiah? Let's grab that real quick. So there is nothing coincidental about the things that we're seeing play out on the planet Earth. No, it was all of old. Isaiah chapter 49 and chapter 46 and verse 9. It says, remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning. You see that? You have prophecies found in the book of Genesis, all right, that's going to be fulfilled in this time, you know, namely Esau being a servant, you know. So it's the Lord that declared that thing from the beginning. It says, and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, see, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So Yahweh is doing all his pleasure, you know. what does it say? The Lord shall threaten and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder? Or the Lord is threatening you. And he's making good on these death threats. You know? These certain articles that we go into or videos that highlight what Yahawashi is doing, it's clear that the Lord is doing all his pleasure. You know? You people are not gonna be able to stand that evil day, you know. Back in 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 5, it says, "For like all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." Right, the end is manifest, man. You know, you go into that word manifest, it means to be made clear to the mind or eye. So now we've had that eye salve, our brain has been washed. We can clearly see what time and season we're in. What is that? Is that 2nd Thessalonians? Let's see. 1st Thessalonians 5. Right? Yeah. 1st Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 1. "But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night." Right. We know that the Lord is going to catch these people off guard. He's going to come upon them suddenly, you know? Oh, that's that breach, that high wall that our people are leaning on for stability. But little do you know that that retaining wall is about to crash in on you, you know? It says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." See that? You're not going to escape. You know? Those birth pains. What it says, 2nd Ezra, sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Let's grab that real quick. We're going to come back to the 2nd Thessalonians. Yeah, that's what you're getting ready to witness. Sorrow is going to come upon you people on every side, man. Yep. Let's get to the point. Yep. 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 37. "Behold, the players draw nigh and are not slack." Right. Everything is drawing nigh. Nothing is being slack, man. You know? It's Yahawashi fulfilling his pleasure. From the food being scarce, to the people not having any comfort, to the money being devalued. Oh man, had an article, and that's the spirit, the other day where the United States dollar is at its lowest rate in 50 years, man. In 50 years, at its lowest height, as it were, you know? So yeah, that's the Lord moving on this place. Now you seeing these plagues are not being slack. It says, "As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment." And that's what we're witnessing. The Lord is speeding up the time. You know, various elders and brothers did lesson regarding the scientists saying that the earth is speeding up. But that's the Lord making good on His word, man. But that's also in conjunction with those birth pains. You know, when a woman is pregnant, she has contractions. And as those contractions speed up, they get tougher. And as they get tougher, that signifies that the child is going to come forth, man. You know, it's basically the kingdom of heaven being birthed into the earth, man. You know, so yeah, these plagues are speeding up. They're coming in their frequency more and more. You know, and these people don't have a clue of what the Lord is getting ready to do. But you see these birth pains. Matter of fact, I said that we're on to St. Matthew. right? Chapter 24, the words of our Lord Yahawashi, you know, what he was telling his disciples regarding his return, right? And we're gonna get it in the NLT. It says St. Matthew 24:3. Later, Yahawashi sat on the Mount of Olives. His disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when shall all this happen, and what sign will signal your return and the end of the world?" Yeah, you had these people think that the end of the world is the earth being destroyed. Now, this word "world" in the Greek is aeon or eon, which means a period of time and age. You know, an unbroken age, being in the rulership of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. You know, it was talking about the whole world. The word "world" would be okamini. You know, but it's talking about an age, a particular rulership. So the disciples was inquiring, when would these things happen, and when would our Lord Yahawashi return? So guess what? Those things are tied hand in hand: the end of the world and the return of our Lord Yahawashi. It says, Yahawashi told them, "Don't let anyone mislead you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah. They will deceive many." Yeah, we're witnessing that. You know, how these people claim that they have the truth, or claim they were sent by Yahawah. You know, you have some of them that say they're Yahawashi, man. You know, but what you're seeing though, prophecies that our Lord said to look for are coming to pass. It says, "And you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately." Right? Meaning what? The MOTB has to be implemented, man. You know, it has to be made mandatory for World War III to come into its full bloom. It says, "Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes." That's those earthquakes in many parts of the world. Yeah, you just basically type in earthquake. Just do a simple Google, and you're going to get hundreds of earthquakes in many parts of the world. It says, "But all this is only the first of the birth pains." See that? With more to come. So now we're in the midst of these birth pains, man. You know? Again, back to 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 38. It says, "As when a woman with child and the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment." And that's what we're witnessing. These plagues, they're not slacking a moment. You know, they ain't slacking at all. In fact, they're increasing in their frequency. It says, "Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side." And that's what we're seeing, man. The earth is mourning, the world is mourning, and sorrows are coming upon it on every side. You know, and that comforts us. That brings us joy. You know, that helps us cope with our day to day. Because truly, we're longing for the destruction. You know, so say the captive exile Haitian, that he may be loose, and that he would not die in the pit. You know, or we're actively searching out the downfall of Esau Edom, you know, the so-called white man, and his power structure. And guess what? Our bread is not failing. We're seeing those things come to pass. You know, as we read in 2nd Ezra 9, measure out the time diligently. How are we measuring the time diligently? By looking at the prophecies, by paying attention to what's going on in the world. You know, back in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3, it says, "For when they shall say peace and safety," and that's another thing. These people have a real peace and safety spirit. You know, they believe everything is going to be okay. It's going to get better. You know, we're going to be able to make it through this harsh time. No, you see, you haven't been endowed with the mental understanding that the Lord said evil and only evil. You know, He said evil was going to increase. You know, He didn't say it was going to increase and then get better. No. So now they're in a peace and safety spirit and believe now we're going to be able to come back. We bounce back from this. We're going to bounce back from that. Or we're going to bounce back from this. No. Look, to the contrary, those are scourges. It really has you in a docile mindset, not realizing the Lord is bringing judgment. It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as shall veil upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Again, you're not going to escape these perils, which are, pronounced in the last day. You know, you're not going to escape these perils. You know, you're going to be right there in the midst. What she'll say, you're going to dwell in torment. You know, why? Because you have walked in great pride. And where you get that pride from? Esau, even the so-called white man, he projects pride, and 2/3 of our people latch onto that shit like it's a golden nugget or something. You know, little do they know is submitting their end, because now you don't have that tawah. Now you don't have that covering of Yahawashi, man. You know, you got the enemy's uniform on. So when the Lord come back, He's looking at who has the tawah and who don't. And you people are not going to have the tawah, so guess what? The Lord going to destroy you. Point blank period, man. It says, going on, and that's bad. It says, with a like as travail upon a woman with child, yeah. You know, those birth pains, man. You know? So yeah, you can't once the water break, when a woman's getting ready to have a baby, there's no way to stop the baby from coming, man. You know? There's no way to stop that baby from coming once that baby once that water break for that woman. Ain't no way around it. See? Like that's just how the plagues are. When you're hot by Sham, man, he's not gonna relent, man. What does it say? He's not gonna man. Let me see if I can find this real quick. It says in the book of Jeremiah. Until he have done it. Let me see. Again, once a woman water break, ain't no come on, man. Ain't no thoughts. Yes. Hearts. And it's blue letter, man. You gotta type it in so damn specifically. Let me see. You want to get this real quick in Jeremiah. Yep. Why do you have about Yahawashi? Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 20. The anger of the Lord shall not return. Right. As that water during those birth pains, you can't once that water break, that's it, man. It's not gonna return. It says the anger of the Lord shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts and intents of his heart in the latter days. ye shall consider it perfectly, right, in the latter days, man, which we are in, you know. And that word consider, one of the definitions there is to teach. So these things are now being taught unto us, and now we are able to see in the latter days the things the Lord declared from the beginning. You know, those plagues, those pestilence, those tribulation, that anguish, you know, all scores is meant for amendment. And where were we at? Yeah, back in First Thessalonians. All right. First Thessalonians chapter 5. And let's read verse 3 again. It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as shall veil upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Right. Sorrow is going to be upon every side. You're not going to escape the things that the Lord has prepared. Okay? It says, but ye brethren are not in darkness, that day shall overtake you as a thief. Right. See, we had the eyesight. We're not in darkness. We can clearly see we're in the season of Esau being taken out of power. You know, of the Lord performing the thoughts and intents of his heart, which is ultimately to destroy America, Babylon the Great. Right? It says, ye are all children of the light and children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Right? Confusion, man. Now we know what the hell is going on. You know? So when we see these certain things come to pass, it comforts us. You know? It assures us that the kingdom of heaven is right there at the door. Right? It says, therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober, right? Sober-minded. Watching for what? The prophecies, you know? Occupying until our Lord comes, you know? But yeah, that's what we're witnessing, man. These certain calamities, these certain things coming on these people, they're not able to put it off. Let's get a couple more articles and we'll close it out. Right? Let's see. Again, a cucumber recall. Oh man, and a lot of those people that died in that Texas flood were children, man. You know, oh, you had the shooting that happened with the rapper. You know, to where she her release party was shot up at the end. You know, the Lord is moving on you women too. Right? You still got Russia shooting drones in the Ukraine and the Kyiv, right? Let's see what else. Yeah, man, these people are losing it. 5-year-old girl accidentally shot in road rage incident, leaving bullets. Look at this, leaving bullet stuck in her sippy cup. You see that, man? Road rage, man. Getting these people on edge. See that? They trying to feed you lab grown meat. Call that shit that was the word that they use. Oh man. Imitation meat. Something like that, man. I want to say it started with an M. Oh, check this out. Violent crowd of 1,500 forces emergency closure of New York State Park. You see that? More uproars of the people in the world. Right? We got a iconic rapper, dude to rap with Tupac, committed suicide. Yeah, man. What is that? Proverbs 20:29. Let's grab that real quick. We'll finish reading out some of these articles. Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. And are these people rejoicing right now? Well, we can unequivocally say, hell no. Hey, i.e. the article I just read of the guy who put himself to death, man. He was once at the height, rapping with Tupac, Now he's in a state of mourning. So much so he had to unalive himself. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. See? Oh yeah, that guy was in a state of mourning. Why? Because the wicked is bearing rule. All right? It says, U.S. deport men from Asia to Latin America to South Sudan after legal saga. So he putting their ass in South Sudan. You got alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, talks of goddamn bear Alcatraz. Can I mention that Indianapolis mass shooting what left 2 dead? Now get this, measles cases surged to record high since disease was declared eliminated in the U.S. See that? Yeah, man. Pestilence is increasing, famine is increasing, the love of many waxing cold increasing. Yeah, everything is increasing. Everything bad is increasing, man. At least 52 dead in that Texas flood, man. Let's see. If there's anything else we can read. Yeah, that was pretty much it. But yeah, you see how the Lord is moving on this place. How he's not relenting, how he keep bringing calamity and tribulation and anguish to this place, man. Let's get something to close it out. Lord, wouldn't this lesson was edifying. Let's go to St. Matthew, chapter 24. And we're going to start at we'll start at 32. It says, now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and put forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Right? What things are we seeing? The prophecies, man. The plagues that the Lord said to look out for, those are the things that we're seeing. And it's signifying that the kingdom of heaven is right there at the door. So I pray this has been edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of the great millstone. Till the next time, shalom.